And hey everyone, Joe here in another What's Crackin', and today I've got a very cool. It's my Linda bookshelf. I had Linda Pluckett before, and now I have Linda Drattell, a amazing author of everything basically. But hello, Linda, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Joe, for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I've got this email and I saw that you did poetry and children's books and an adult full-length novel. And I was like, wow, that's an amazing talent. How do you balance between all of that?
Well, I've just been writing for a very long time, and it actually started with the adult novel, which is now coming out in October, but I started it about 30 years ago. And after many, many revisions and putting it off and starting it again and going back and forth, I decided in the meantime to write a children's book because as it happened, even though I've lost my hearing when I was in my 30s, of course, I had to learn another language, right?
Right.
So I decided to learn Spanish. And my Spanish teacher, trying to figure out how to teach me Spanish when I couldn't hear anything, decided to teach me children's stories. And one day she decided, Linda, it's time that we wrote our own children's story. So going back and forth, we decided to write about a dragon. And this is the book that came as a result of it. Who Wants to Be Friends with a Dragon? And we were talking about this dragon that he's very nervous, doesn't think anybody would want to be his friend because he's green and he breathes fire and he has spikes going down his back. And I said, Eve, you know what? That dragon is me because I have hearing loss. I'm afraid that nobody would want to be my friend. So, really, really, that dragon is me. And she said, no, that dragon is me because I'm half Mexican and I don't feel like I fit in anywhere. And then we hired an illustrator for this book. And he said, no, the dragon is me because I'm the son of Filipino immigrants and I don't feel like I
Oh,
fit in
wow.
anywhere. And that's when we realized the story really was about anybody who felt different for any reason. So that's what we did, and that's how that book came about. So then along the way, I decided to write poetry to fill my time waiting for my book to be finished. And I joined a poetry critique group, and it's an amazing group of it's women, and every so often we get a guy that joins us, and they are, I mean, it's amazing. I know more about them than I know about my own family. I mean, we share our guts, we share our feelings, we share our insecurities in our poetry. And we know it's not going to go anywhere else. So we just pour all this stuff out in our poems. And it's been wonderful. So we've each gotten published along the way. And I have two books that have been published now. One is the serious book called Remember This Day, and it's all trauma related. And then there's the lighter side of horse manure,
Yes.
which is all tongue in cheek and a lot of fun laughing at life. And then, in addition to that, I've had a lot of individual poems that have been published here and there. And most recently, that I found out a week ago, I was invited by what's it called? I had to write this down. The Korean Haiku Federation has is going to introduce me as an invited poet to their Korean Haiku World Youth Festival in
Wow.
October. And that's because somebody was following me on LinkedIn and shared my poems that I posted there with a colleague of his in Korea. And so they want to translate some of my poems into Korean and Japanese to share with their youth.
That's
So
amazing.
I'm excited.
That's absolutely amazing. And it's one of those things where I never thought to share anything I wrote on LinkedIn. And you used it and parlay that into being invited to the haiku one. Did you have that as a
No,
purpose? Like if I put my stuff out on LinkedIn, people will pick up on it, or
I don't know. I just posted poetry that had been published and just as an announcement said this got published.
oh,
So yeah.
that's great. And one of the things I am a big firm believer of is writing groups. I think you can write, but you really need that feedback. But I've never been to a poetry writing group. I've never been. And so when you're saying you're sharing the feelings, does that feel more visceral than maybe a fiction group would be? Or is that different?
I haven't been in a fiction writing group. Um, and you would think since I wrote a novel, I should be, but I had just written that pretty much on my own. And then I hired different editors to review it. And I had beta readers read it. But I hadn't joined I hadn't joined a fiction writing group for that. And it probably would have been helpful, but I hadn't done it. Um,
For the poetry one, is this something that if they're published or not, is this almost like a help group? Because I know poetry can be very intimate, where fiction, there can be a small little distance between you and the narrator or you and the characters, but poetry is almost self reflective.
I think that's true. I think that poetry is more self-reflective. Excuse me, there's more of you in the poem, even if it's not first person. It could be about an issue, but it's an issue that you relate to personally. Like for example, I wrote a poem that was just published that was about it was really about communication, and I talk about um, being an expat because I lived 6 months in Barcelona, being an expat, and that it's like looking through a window and not being able to truly relate to the people on the other side of the window, because really communication is more than language. It's culture, shared history, shared pain, and you try to understand, but how do you even voice a sentence? What kind of inflection? That sort of thing. So that was my feelings as an expat. Yeah, I shared it with my husband, and he said, God, he says, that's exactly how we both feel. Um, so uh, I guess that would be something general, but it was my personal experience.
That's a great story. And I think that opens up to people who want to go into writing and just how it's reflection of self. It's an art, a reflection of self. And with that reflection, I have two questions for you. And if you want to nope out of either question, is fine. But you brought up that you went deaf. How old were you? You said, how old were you?
I was in my 30s,
In your
and I
30s.
was the last to figure that out.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realize it. Most people who lose their hearing later in life don't realize it. The people around them realize it. So my husband was saying, focus, focus, thinking I wasn't paying attention. And my kids are going, Mom, Mom. And my neighbors are getting mad at me because my son is cussing and I'm not correcting him. They had a blast growing up because they could just talk like this and say whatever they wanted.
Oh wow, it's kind of like the NBA when they talk like that behind the towels so the fans can't see.
Yeah.
That's
So
that's
yeah.
fun though. So when you're going through this and that has to be a bit of a vulnerable time, is this when your poetry really starts to tick up, or is it still I need to write the children's book because that's you're wrestling these things?
Well, the children's book wrestled with that, but I think Actually, I wrote my first poem, which is published in one of my books. I wrote when I was 16, and I always found things to write about. And one of the things to mention, anyways, is that I try to write in a way that is vague enough that anybody can read into it whatever they want. So when I was 16, you know, you're mad at the inequities of the world. And so I wrote this poem called The Torrent and the Tree. And the tree is fighting the rapids of this river that is trying to tear it down. I saw a photo of this and I thought, God, that tree is going to die. It's going to fall down. Why doesn't it just give up? And I wrote this poem about how the tree doesn't give up. It didn't matter how long it was going to survive. It was going to fight for every last second. It was going to survive. And it was proud of that survival. And so I wrote this poem and I let the tree reflect anything anybody wanted to read into it. And so as a result, a lot of people really relate to that poem because it can be a nation fighting a war, it could be an oppressed people. And I've had actually two women who have cancer tell me that they bring that poem to chemotherapy, and they say, I am the tree. So I like that. And so I try to do that with each of my poems. I try to make it impersonal as possible so that people can relate to it however way they want.
Yeah, I think that's a way of really connecting to the universal. We learned that in creative nonfiction. You can write a memoir, great, but if you can't connect to the people, it's too specific. If it's just yours, that's just you then. But if you can make the memoir connectable universally, because we all have these things go through our lives, it might not be exactly like yours, but if you leave it open enough, people will connect. And the story about someone bringing it to chemotherapy, that touches me. It's that has to be a is it awe inspiring? Like what emotion does it bring you?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Like when you're finding out that people are bringing your poetry to chemotherapy to get them through the day and saying I am the tree, what emotion is that for you?
Oh, it's so powerful to me. It just hits me right here. It just one woman when she was reading it, she one of those two women, I was at a book signing and I was reading the book and she slammed the book at me and she said, sign this one while I go and pay for this this copy of the same book. She was just so overwhelmed by it, and that just meant so much to me.
That's amazing. And then you have this aspect. And another question I was going to ask for the personal one, you survive the Bastille Day attack in France. And if you're surviving this with someone, I'm guessing at that time without hearing, how does that unfold for you?
Um, it was very interesting because my husband had gotten sick with a kidney stone the day before, and he decided not to get treatment in the hospital, which he thinks saved me that day because if he had been in the hospital, I would have been walking along the promenade and gotten hit by the truck. But because he decided not to have the treatment, the two of us in a restaurant just below the promenade, and we were waiting for our bill. We had finished eating, and there was another couple at the table next to ours, also from our hotel across the street. And the waitress decided to take their payment before ours, and we were kind of miffed. We were ready to get up and go.
Right.
And it was just like maybe 7 steps up to the promenade. So we watched them go up and we're kind of impatient. And then all of a sudden the truck came. And so uh, my husband looked up and he said, what are those people doing? And it was people jumping onto the awning from the promenade. And later we did see the husband of that couple, and he was covered in bandages. And I have no idea what happened to his wife. We didn't see her. Um, but at the same moment, for whatever reason, the one frequency I did hear was gunshots. And so I grabbed his hand. I didn't hear the band. I didn't hear when they stopped playing the music. I didn't hear the screaming, but I heard the gunshots. And so I grabbed his wrist and I said, run, And so ahead of everybody else, I grabbed him and we ran underneath the covering to where the bathrooms were. And, this was just 3 weeks after what happened in Orlando with the terror attack. And all I kept thinking was, I didn't know where else to run. The terrorists could have followed us and killed all of us just like they did in Orlando. I had no idea. But that was where we went, and we hid there for about 3 hours until the police told us it was safe to come out. But then when we came out, they guided us to cross the street over to hotels, and we had to pass everything, and it looked like something from a Stephen King novel. You saw bodies that just went forever, and they were covered with the tablecloths from all the restaurants. We passed a baby's body and the broken carriage and a teenager next to his broken bicycle, and it was just horrendous. And when we out and my husband got interviewed, while we were in the bathroom, the media was picking up his tweets. I was texting to the family and he was tweeting, and they picked up his tweets. So they started interviewing him. And so he said, why are you interviewing me? I'm hiding in a bathroom. And they said, because you're coherent and you're in place. So they're interviewing him, and I'm sending messages to my son and my daughter, but my daughter was dancing on a cruise ship at the time, so she didn't get any of my messages. And then suddenly somebody went up to her on the cruise ship and said, are you related to an Eric Drattell? And she goes, yeah, that's my dad. And they said, well, his voice is on TV. He's been in a terror attack. And she was like, oh my God. So then she saw she missed 27 messages from me. So it was pretty upsetting. And just this past Bastille Day was the 10th anniversary. So it really affected me. But friends of my husband he had worked with had been in the Mumbai terrorist attack. And one of them told him to get therapy for PTSD.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, no, we're okay. And she said, no, you're not okay. When you go through something very traumatic, go for the therapy. You will not, you need it. So we went, and it was a really good thing we did. She went for therapy, and the other colleague did not. She got over the trauma, and her colleague did not get over it for years. So you just don't know how things will affect you. And it still affected me for a very long time. And like I said, 10th anniversary, it was still affecting me. But the therapy was very helpful. And the main thing that he said was, there's the pain of the second arrow. You have the infliction of pain from the trauma, but then we inflict our own pain the second time by reliving the trauma again and again, because it's like there's a gravel road in your brain, but then each time you relive it, you create a 2-lane highway, and then a 4-lane highway, and then a freeway. And so you've just got to think of other things. And the funny thing, when we went with him to meet with him, he wouldn't talk to us about the situation. He didn't want to hear about it. He wanted to talk about football and who's the favorite player and which game do we like? And I'm like, what is this? But that was the whole point, was to talk about other things.
Yeah, to get the focus off. And with the 10-year anniversary, do you ever sit with this, even with all the tips and tricks you got in therapy, and go, why not me? Why am I still here?
Yeah, that was the hard part for me after 10 years. I look back at everything that we've lived and accomplished and experienced, all the joys of life, and think, I didn't happen, I didn't have to have this. Is that's the and other people who died didn't have this.
Right.
And that's what's really hard.
Does that make you enjoy your success as a writer more? Enjoy, as Warren Zevon would say, enjoy every sandwich.
I don't know, it's kind of semi-sweet,
Yeah,
you know. I feel like I need to, I don't know if it's right. I need to be successful. I need to get the most out of each second of each minute because I'm here. I'm
absolutely.
trying very hard not to cry.
Oh, if trust me, all the everyone at home is crying. I can guarantee this. I can. You're being honest and open, and I appreciate this so much. I truly do. And as someone who knows how to take pain into art, right? You as a poet, you as a child's author, you as an adult author, that's turning something into art. That thing that's in there, the universe gives, and you reflect it back. When you are living every moment, when you are making sure every blessing is counted, when you have not only will you be presenting your poetry in October, but your new book's coming out in October. Does that also frame it as, okay, this is success, this is me, this is why, this is things I need to enjoy, instead of going milestone check, is this is the enjoyment of it. Is that fair to say, like, that's the, like, the dessert, like the enjoying your cheesecake? I just had cheesecake, that's what I'm saying, cheesecake.
Uh, yeah, yes, I suppose so. And just at times I just feel very tired,
Yeah.
and I should just I should celebrate.
And feeling tired is human. It's a very human response. It's a very human response. I can't imagine all that and having the book launch and having this. It's for those who don't know, book launches are time consuming. It's everything is back and forth with a publisher. Is this the right font? Sure. Is this the right this? Yes. Do you like the your name here? Uh-huh. Yeah, I like that name here. What color? What color green? Oh, there's different colors green now? Really? How many colors green do I need? Like 12? Okay, not this one. It's between these two greens I can't tell apart anymore, but apparently the graphic designer can, and they need decisions. So it's all these little things that go in the back end, and beta readers, and like you're gonna go to Kirkus and get the reviews in, and then you wait for the reviews and they'll say something good or bad or both, you know? And it's like, you took, how long was your adult book? How long did it take you to write?
Well, like I said, it took 30 years.
30 years. Yeah. In 30 years, they'll take it apart and go, here's your blurb of 30 years of your life. The two sentences for the back
It's
cover.
really funny. When I first wrote it, it was about like 20, 40 pages, and I read it to my girlfriends, and they all thought I was writing about them, so they got mad at me.
Sorry. But yeah, did you have to explain them? Like, no, 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 this is just fictional. Wink. Like, no, what?
Yes. Well, it was funny because it's about this woman, like who is an immigrant who doesn't fit in with her nouveau riche, upwardly mobile neighborhood who wants everyone to conform. And each of them felt like they didn't fit in to their own neighborhood. So they thought I was writing about them. And I was like, no, no, that's not the case. But each of them, for whatever reason, and they each came from different walks of life, felt they did not fit in for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And it was very funny. I had moved from my neighborhood, and this was about 30 years ago. Um, and I was having lunch with my daughter at McDonald's, and there was a woman sitting across from me at another table. And she was a woman who I thought was one of the most popular women in my neighborhood. And she was sitting by herself and she's waving at me and said, I know why you're moving from our neighborhood. I didn't even know she knew who I was. I mean, we never spoke, we never talked. I didn't know her name. And I said, really? What's the reason? She goes, it's this neighborhood. They're not friendly. Nobody wants to know who you are. And she looked so sad. And I thought, oh my God, everybody can relate to my character.
Yeah, that's amazing. Even the most popular person, we all have it on the inside somewhere. It's the imposter syndrome. It always comes out. Now, I cannot say the name of the book. I've tried. I just, I'm horrible at this name. So please, without me killing it, what's the name?
Okay, it's called The Peccadilloes of Philomena Phipps. It's just all the sins of this woman who tries to fit in and just cannot do so because she's so excited about her background and where she comes from. And she gets to this urban suburban neighborhood and she's so excited about moving there and she wants to know, oh, do you have a flag? Do you have a special bread? Do you have parades to celebrate who you are? And they're all looking at her like, no, we know who we are. We don't need all that. But I live in Barcelona half the time, so that's what they do in Barcelona. They have flags and they have breads and they have parades. Oh my God, they have so many parades and so many
Wow.
celebrations for every single holiday. And if a holiday is one day, they take 3 days to celebrate it. And it's a lot of fun. It's wonderful. And so that's what I have her do. Not that she's from Barcelona. I don't have her from a particular place, but I just have her wanting to celebrate her new place that she's moved to. And they're just looking at her like she's absolutely crazy.
That sounds, and anyone who's ever been an outsider, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And it sounds amazing. Now, I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna try my best. Ready? Here we go. Here's my best. Okay, so Linda, if people want to find your books and they can get the poetry, remember this day and the lighter side of horse manure, which is why I really wanted to talk to you because of that, the lighter side of horse manure. Love it. Reminds me of Colonel Potter, and that goes a long way. And the children's book, Who Wants to Be Friends with a Dragon? And in October, coming out full length adult novel, the Piccad oh man, the Peccadilloes of Philomena Phipps. I
The Peccadilloes,
Peccadilloes.
Filipino Phipps.
That one too. That one too. In October, you got to check it out. And Linda, if people want to find you online, where do we go?
Okay, so to find me online, I have a website. It's my full name, lindadrattell.com, LindaDrattell.com. And my two poetry books are published with Finishing Line Press.
Very cool.
And then my children's book, Who Wants to Be Friends with a Dragon, is co-written with Eve Marie Little and published with Dorrance Publishing Company. And my adult book is with Stairwell Books.
That's amazing.
So I know these three books you can buy on Amazon or you can buy through the publisher. And Stairwell Books will have my book in October. I think it will be available on Amazon, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I really look forward to it. It's something that I connect with your material. I connect with your material. You know, I'm growing up, bouncing around military. I'm not sure if you can see the like the flag. Oh, where's the flag? Like the Marine Corps flag in the background, military kids, so never fit in anywhere, you know. And to see that you're not alone, you know, it is your stories are resilience. It's overcoming. It's the most Marine Corps motto, you know, adapt and overcome, improvise. And that's what I see in your writing. Your poetry touches because it's universal. Your children's book connects because, again, we all are the dragon, each one of us. And I cannot wait to read your novel. It sounds amazing. And I just want to say thank you very much for your sitting down and being open and just having a discussion that can also connect to everyone at home and just give us the background of the person who creates such wonderful stories. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to chat with you today.
Absolutely. And for myself and Linda, we bid you good day. Goodbye, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay.